Welcome to the Victory Speaks Minding Our Mind series, where iron sharpens iron. That's you and me sharpening each other. I'm your host, Nicole Waldron, your voice of victory and your mental fitness coach. And I'm on a mission to curate inspiring live conversations with everyday experts, unsung heroes, and thought leaders that will empower us to live a victorious lifestyle. Our physical and mental wellness is a journey that we have to make an intentional choice of to take care of. That is something we cannot always do alone. In this series of the Victory Speak Show, we focus on our mental health and wellness. And as you join me on this journey through these Minding Our Mind conversations, I hope you will be inspired to be more intentional about your mental health and wellness. As we cultivate the victory mindset, today, let us be intentional and make ourselves a priority. As we take one step daily, mindfully, we can improve our lives for the better. I invite you to get a nice drink, sit back, get a snack, grab a notepad, as you just never know when a wisdom key can be dropped. Please share this with your friends and get ready to engage with us. And good evening and welcome, everyone. It's been a hot minute. I took Easter off. I hope you took some time for yourself. And as we join back Society on Wellness Wednesday, I hope you've been doing well. And so tonight I want to get, kind of into it. It's because wellness is our journey, physically and mentally, and we have to make some intentional choices about it. And I speak about that all the time if you've been tuning into the Victory Speak show and the podcast. And how we mind our mind is intentional, and it takes on so many facets. Sometimes people just think about, what am I thinking about? But what is your environment about? How is your financial mindset? How is your physical mindset? How are you looking at your house, your home? What about those sentimental things around you? And so for those of you who joined us in the last session, we were talking about, what is clutter? How do we declutter? How do we organize? And it's springtime, right? What a perfect time to spring into life, to get some new vibrations. Now, funny story. If you were in Toronto yesterday, you would wonder what season you were in, because we started the morning with spring. In the middle of the day, we got this storm from big snowflakes from nowhere. We were in winter, and a few hours later, we were back again into spring. So it was a very confusing day. Could you imagine what nature was happening? What was happening to those birds out there? But it tells you when we're out of order. Maybe nature's feeling a little out of order, because we probably need to get some more things into order in our lives, and we'll all be in sync. But that's my little story for today. And so we're going to do some wonder working Wednesday organization. And to get us started, helping me curate this conversation is my friend. She is supercalifragilisticexpialidocious. She is Jaycel Murphy. She's a certified virtual declutter coach, NLP practitioner. You're probably wondering what that is. Let's ask her, because some of you may not know what that is. Professional organizer. She's also CEO and owner of Love Cleaning Residential. She's a professional certified as a clutter coach, home organizer. And my friends, she has this empathy that she approaches this work with, which is very unique from everybody else. That's why I like her. She doesn't make you feel guilty about the things you have. She helps you to figure it out in your mind. And she's been doing this for over 15 years, invested in social service sector for over 15 years. And she's also the loving mom to her 4 boys. Okay, without further ado, I'm going to bring up the wonderful, the amazing Jaycel to the Victory Speak. Say, hi, Jaycel. Welcome. And how are you doing today? You're on mute. Are you on mute? Yes, you are.
I was on mute. How are you? I'm so good. I am so, especially now that I'm here, I'm even better.
Listen, when I see you smile, you make me smile. So I am happy. I've been looking forward to this conversation all day as we talk about the organization, the Clutter Declutter. And the last time we were here, which was the last show, we talked about, why decluttering is an opportunity, how to release the shame associating with clutter, ways to welcome order into your home, and so much more. So if you missed that show, I'd encourage you to go back and look at it. But Jaycel, maybe we can give people a little bit of a recap on the importance of maybe assessing our spaces and what clutter or non-clutter is all about, because the word has such this negative negative connotation to it when we say clutter.
Yeah, absolutely. I would love to. Thank you. Thank you. Uh, Still, I want to call you Dr. Nicole.
Listen,
This rolls off the tongue.
it happened again. I'm going to give you the funny story. It happened again in last week at a meeting, and someone said to me, "Side by, folks. Stay in our conversation. You're getting into the secret of our conversation." Someone said to me on a Zoom call, never met the lady before. And she goes, "I don't know what it is, but I have this. I don't know if you're studying to be a doctor or if you are a doctor, but I feel like calling you Dr. Nicole." So I told it to Love More, and I was like, okay, maybe there's something here. Maybe it's Dr. Victory. Maybe we'll just call me Dr. Victory or something. So call me Doc. Call
I
me
love it. I love the prophecy here. This is so beautiful. Um, so, Dr. Nicole,
Yes.
if I may,
Yes. Yes.
what is clutter? What is clutter? And I think the question was, when we're looking at the importance of clutter, how do we assess our space, right? So some of us may have heard that clutter is, one, delayed decisions, right? Things that we've been putting off for some time. And others may have heard that clutter is a reflection of what's going on in the mind. A cluttered mind is a cluttered space. And yes, both of these are true. I believe that they are. But clutter is also, in my opinion, an opportunity, right? Clutter is such an opportunity for us to practice decisiveness. Because it is delayed decisions, now we have an opportunity to revisit those decisions, right? And ask ourselves a couple of questions. Are these items serving the space that they're in? Are they serving me? Are they serving the people who use this space? Right? What is my connection to these items? How deep does it go? Right? Are the memories that are associated with this clutter good memories? Because let's face it, some of us have pictures of people on our mantelpiece that we actually don't want to have there year round because the energy is such that every time we walk past those pictures, we're reminded of last year's holiday that didn't go so well, right?
Ooh.
So it doesn't necessarily mean that we have to get rid of everything. We don't have to get rid of everything. We just need to ask ourselves, number one, is this clutter here now? Because time and context matters, right? What was clutter 10 years ago isn't necessarily clutter today. And is this clutter in this space? What would happen if I moved it to another area in the home? Or better still yet, what would happen if I just took that photo down and only brought it out during the holidays when that person was here?
Ah.
Right? How could I shift the energy inside of this space? And it's important to also recognize that clutter is an energetic entity, right? It holds energy, and when we're not moving things, right? If we're not moving, if there's no flow inside of our body, right? If our heart stops beating, what happens? We die because the blood flow has stopped. And it's the same thing with the energy inside of our home. We want to make sure, yes, yes. We also want to make sure that the energy inside of our home is constantly moving, right? And when we have clutter, it's an example that the energy has stopped there. And so it's stagnant energy. And we want to just make some decisions and get it moving
You
again.
talk about the picture too, it's even moving those pictures out of your phone,
Mhm. Mhm.
and the things that are bringing the energy. And I love how you put it. I actually changed stuff around
Yes.
in the background of the studio or the home studio today. I did a little shifting. I did some things in the background. Maybe next week I'll do a little more shifting of things. Re re Refocusing some energy, bringing out stuff that I like. And it really made me, even after our conversation, you said, "How is it serving you? Is this still serving you?"
Mhm.
And that, to me is a really key question. And how is it supposed to serve you? How are the things in your life supposed to serve you?
Mhm.
And last night on Clubhouse, we were talking about vision. And one of the things I like to tell people, but the victory uh, analogy, the victory acronym, and the V stands for vision. And so, as we get into the more of this conversation, I want to ask individuals to think about, and I've had to think about it, what is the vision that you want for your life? But what do you want for your personal space? And this is where we're coming to, and this is what you're helping us in, Jaycel. You know, what is that vision you want for your bedroom? What is the vision you want for your bathroom? What is the vision like? Do you go through each room when you're helping somebody in a space?
Yeah, we can. Absolutely. I've worked with people through their entire home, right? We started it. I like to start in the individual space just because it's theirs. And I
Mm,
believe that I can't heal. And like when I heal, everyone else around me heals.
right.
Number one, I can't hold anyone else accountable until I've learned to hold myself accountable. Number two, right? And I also believe that accountability is not an external thing, it's an internal thing, right? It's driven by oneself to take action, right? What is my drive? And that is closely aligned with our values. And it's interesting because every area of our home represents, or every room in our home rather, represents a different area of our life, right? So now there's no scientific proof that this actually is a thing. However, by way of experience, so the qualitative data shows that when someone is clearing out their bedroom, right, that's where areas of their life that are related to intimacy
Right.
improve. Self care, restoration. You get a better night's sleep when your room is decluttered. We know this, right? When underneath of your bed is free from clutter and dust bunnies, the energy just flows through
So,
there. The bathroom is all about refreshing oneself, but also releasing toxins, right?
mm,
So sloughing off the old, letting go of the old. And if we think about the bathroom, that's where our mirror is. That's where we have
ooh,
intimate conversations with ourselves, right? But it's also about beauty. So inner beauty, external beauty, releasing toxins, that's the bathroom. If we were to move to, well, in the Dear Clutter show, we're working on the kitchen right now.
right.
Kitchen, and I think we touched on this maybe just in a private conversation or maybe online. I can't remember. I just love chatting with you. But the kitchen represents abundance, right? And
Mm,
in Feng Shui, this ancient energetic study theory, the kitchen represents abundance. And so if we think about feeding ourselves, right? What are we feeding ourselves? It's also related to fitness, right? Think about the fitness instructor who tells you, clear out your entire pantry. It's all junk in there. So it's really beautiful. And the kitchen, if you clear out your kitchen and clean out your stove, oftentimes money comes to you.
what?
Right?
Okay, tomorrow, girl. You're doing the kitchen. We are doing the kitchen.
I've been told that the stove is really the money maker. So get
We're getting that
right
oven
into the stove.
thingy and we're spraying that thing out again. We're throwing out what's not working in that stove. I'm
Yes.
obedient to you today.
Absolutely. So, we work in different areas of our life, in different areas of our home to impact and affect different areas of our life. And again, there's no real studies that prove this, but by way of experience, listening to people's, journeys, then their testimonials, my own personal experience, right?
Right.
I wasn't always tidy. I'm not that professional organizer who has always had it together since I was knee high. No, no. I'm the one who had all sorts all over her room, from the window to the wall, like everywhere. It was such a mess. It was,
Right.
bless my mother's heart. Bless my mother's heart. But we learn and we grow and we develop these skills, right? And now I'm at this point where, because I've developed the skill, I can teach. And because I've gone and I've studied under, mentors, people who train people to be professional organizers
Right.
and clutter clearers, and working with NLP and that sort of thing, I just found a way to support people in that way. I'm so sorry. I've lost our question.
No, 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 no. That's okay. We were going room to room, and I think we should continue room to room before we go to the next part of the question. Because you did the bedroom, you did the kitchen,
Yes.
you
Oh,
did
the
the
bathroom.
bathroom. So
Yeah.
what would it say to the living room? What does the living room and the dining room say to
Yeah.
ourselves when we
Okay. This is fun. I love this. I like where we're going with this. So the living room is like the social hub, right?
right,
That's where we all come. And of course, the kitchen is too. When we think about the kitchen, it's the heart of the home. but I still, that's more about the body and abundance and the physicality, right? So that's
Right.
tied to fitness. But the living room is all about, the social. It's where we have our sofas and our chairs, and it's usually set up in some sort of circle or semicircle, forward facing. Everybody's engaging with one another. So if you find that relationships are maybe a little bit strained, go ahead and clear out the energy inside, because right, we're working on ourselves when we're doing this decluttering work in our home, and we're working on us. So go ahead, clear out your living room. Maybe, go underneath of the sofa and make sure that everything is clear out from underneath of the sofa, right? There's nothing hanging out underneath of there,
Right.
because we think about it, we want that energy around that social element to flow, right? And it's not the kind of change that happens overnight, although for some people it truly is, right? Like, how many times have you cleared out your bedroom and the next day you wake up and you feel incredible?
And then the clutter comes back.
Well, that's so good. I love that you said that, Dr. Nicole. I love, love, love that you said that. And then the clutter comes back. So this is where the NLP comes into play.
Okay.
This is where so NLP is Neurolinguistic Programming,
Okay.
right? And it's the study of behavior, essentially, right? It's essentially modeling ourselves after people who have achieved greatness, great success, right? What was their thought patterns? What was the language that they were using? What were their beliefs? We're looking at an individual's model of the world, how they view the world, and we're saying, okay, let me take just about.
I love it.
Is it ready?
Just about. Wait, no,
We're live. Hi, honey.
We're live. Kiss.
Jaycel, did I still have? Oh, we froze. We froze as soon as the beautiful sun came in. We froze a little bit. Hopefully, we get Jaycel back as she was talking about NLP and what that means. And
There we
okay,
go.
there we are. We got you back. Okay, so we were talking about NLP and what that
We're
means.
talking about NLP as we're talking about models of the world, right?
Yes.
We're talking about looking at our own model of the world. We want said result, right? So we want to stop the clutter from coming back. Let's just say.
Yes. Help me, Jaycel.
Yeah. So I'll give you an example. So we want the clutter to stop coming back. So how about we create a scenario here? So I love cooking for my friends and family.
Right.
And I being the proverbial us, right? So I love cooking for my friends and family. When they come over, yes, there's dishes, they pile up inside of the sink, but I would much rather hang out with my friends and family because I know I've only got them for a short period of time.
Right.
The thing is that when they leave, the dishes, the mess, it's everywhere. And I'm not inspired to clean it up because I've just had this long day, maybe 2 or 3 days passes, and then I'm finally getting through all of it. Now it's all clear 2 or 3 days later.
Right.
And this happens every single time I have people over. So I might say, okay, well, number one, if I were to use language like I hate doing dishes.
Right.
Right? I don't want to do dishes when people are over. We're not gonna, if that's our truth, if that's the belief that we have, if that's where we land, how do we change our behavior? If doing the dishes while people are over is so painful, our natural ability or the way our minds work is that we're going to avoid the pain and we're going to go toward the thing that brings us pleasure, right? So if hanging out with friends is the thing that brings us pleasure, our brain is not doing anything wrong. It's going, don't do the dishes, don't do the dishes. That's painful, going out with your friends. So then the question is, okay, how will I know if I want to change this behavior? How will I know it's time to do the dishes? I want to do the dishes because I know hanging out with my friends is great, but dealing with all of the dishes for the days later and dealing with all of the mess pains me more in the end. So that's really my motivation. That's really what is going here. That's the kind of thinking or holding on to having that freedom at the end of the night is going to be the thing that encourages me to want to do the dishes. Now, it's not my pattern. It's not something that I'm used to doing. So how can I identify where there's a blip in the machine, right? Something's going on, right? Like it's like I'm going through, I put the dishes inside of the sink, and then somehow I end up hanging out with everyone and the night's gone, right?
Yes.
Just
Yeah.
we're on autopilot. So we really have to look at the system that we have in place, identify where that blip is, and then make some adjustments there. And we can use strategies in NLP. We use some strategies to shift.
So the I in victory would be intentional. So
Yeah.
you have the vision that you want for your space and the vision that you want for when you're entertaining your loved
Yes.
one. But then be intentional that when you've finished it, you have to be intentional about shifting that space. And I know when we were talking the last time, we got this question. Sarah sent in this question, and I kept
Mhm.
it. And I know I said this was going to be a key focus because we talk about family and we become sentimental with our loved ones. And she had said, I find it hard to part with items given to me by loved ones,
Yes.
elders, and mentors. The
Yeah.
attachment is hard to manage, like the books, the trinkets, the fabrics, the greeting cards. You know, many of us have childhood memorabilia. I was looking like, I said, oh my goodness, I have VHS tapes. Shh, I'm aging myself. I still have, I love my CDs. What about those? I still have my son's christening outfit. You know, how do we deal with that stuff when we're talking about reorganizing or decluttering and I'm trying to
Mhm.
get into positive wording. Yeah.
Good.
Good night,
So
Sarah.
how do we deal when
Yes.
we have socialize around the dishes? Yes, I love what Sarah, I love you. You're so good. You're so good. Listen, it's either we're gonna do it or we're gonna delegate it or we're gonna dump it,
Right.
right? So why not delegate some of that
Do it,
work out?
delegate it, or dump it. I gotta write that down. That's good. All right. Go ahead, Jaycel.
So these sentimental items, what can we do? How can we address the sentimentality when it comes time to letting these items go? Ah, geez. It's it it's not easy for everyone, right? It's simple. It's definitely simple, but it's important to recognize that part of the reason why these items are sentimental is because they reflect a special time or a special person, right? In our lives.
Right.
And so holding on to those items means extending the life of that time or that person, right? It's like anchoring
Woo!
into that item. The thing is that when we have sentimental items kind of boxed away, and maybe they're taking up a lot of space, and we really do want to address it because we're beginning to feel within ourselves, not because somebody told us it's clutter, but we're beginning to feel within ourselves that it is an issue and I'm ready to let go of these items. There are a couple of things that we can do. Number one, always, 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 always set a time, right? Really work within a time frame because number one, working with sentimental items, the time can really get away from us,
Right.
especially if we're, picking up every item and really thinking about what was going on at that time with that person. Um,
When
so,
you set a time frame, what do you mean? So for the
yeah,
is it that you mean that day I'm going to create a specific time frame, or over a week or a month or a
yeah,
year?
like it could, no.
Sorry.
It's okay. I surprised myself with the no that squeaked out. But certainly, what you could do is set a time frame. It's almost like setting an appointment for yourself,
Okay.
right? So you want to set an appointment for yourself where at say 8 o'clock p.m. I'm going to sit down for half an hour or for an hour, right? So we're chunking out a segment of time, and we're saying, okay, I'm going to focus on this specific goal for these specific items. So if you're working through your photo album, right, and you're only going to be sitting there for half an hour, what is your goal for the photo album? Right? Do you have photos inside of what do you call them? Shoe boxes and bags and totes and all sorts, but you really want to kind of get all of your photos either digitized or into one photo album. Most people want to digitize their photos,
Okay.
right? They want to bring them into some sort of online virtual storage system like the cloud.
So let's pause there. I like what you're saying. So if we're dealing with photographs
Yes.
and it's under your bed, it's not even in the albums, it's in a shoebox, it's in the living room, some is in the kitchen, in the top cupboard,
Yeah.
wherever they are, we take the photographs
Yes.
and we say, okay, how can I keep these photographs in a way that doesn't cause more bulk in my home? And so
Yes.
one way to do this is digitizing the photos.
Yes. 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 So so if it's the photographs that we're concerned with, the first thing we want to do is if we have them in the kitchen, in the bedroom, and in the basement, and in the living room, and kind of strewn all over the home, first things we want to do is we want to collect all of the photographs.
Right.
So we're just going to go through the house. We're going to get them all into one space. That may take us 15 minutes. And after doing that, we're exhausted. We're tired. It's the first task that we've ever done with the photos. And we say, okay, you know what?
I'm done.
That's that's tactic one
Right.
of the goal, right? That's my first thing that I'm going to do. The second thing you're going to do, so the next time you sit down to go through these files, is maybe the goal is to sit down and digitize 50 photographs, right? And so that's what you'll do. You'll sit down and you'll digitize 50 photographs. Your second goal actually is more likely to be setting up the systems that the photographs are going to go into.
So some
So
could be in albums, some could be in digitized and do it by categories. Yeah.
yeah, but then also, what is the metadata that you're going to attach to the photographs? So the date, the time, the place, right? Are you going to categorize them by year, by event? So you want to sit down and you want to map that out first before you start digitizing any of your photographs.
And
But then you're on a roll.
story. You're telling the story
Mhm.
over the years. So with the pictures, you end up telling the story. I love it.
Yes.
I love it. And
Yes.
then
Yes.
you can start creating gifts. Like, you can start creating gifts. Okay, I can give this to my parents, or I can give this to my sister or my sibling, because then you can have those creative gifts, those sentimental gifts you can give at Christmas and birthdays.
Absolutely.
Yes.
Absolutely. And so I would create a file for something like that, but I wouldn't go into any of the planning for that because oftentimes what we can do
So
is
I
we
go,
can start
can
with
you
one
tell what
tab.
happens to me? Can you tell what
Yep.
happens with me? I got ideas upon ideas. Okay. And I started creating new clutter. Okay.
Yes. And then we end up, it's like, oh, I'm decluttering my bedroom and I just have to go put this back inside of the kitchen. And next thing you know, you're in the kitchen for hours and you forgot about what was going on in the bedroom. And it happens all the time.
So it's really having a specific type of focus in that
Mhm.
moment,
Yes.
that even if you want to have the ideas out of it, stick to the topic at hand, find the
Yes.
time. So we're
Yes.
sorting, then we're deciding on what we want to do, how we want it to look, how we want it to be digitized. We want to put
The
it in
system.
albums. Do we
Yeah.
need to go and buy some photo albums to make sure that we
No.
have the albums? No,
We're not
no.
even going to buy any photo albums yet because the
Okay.
reason why we're not going to buy any photo albums yet is because we don't know how many photos are going to be digitized.
Ah,
Once we've sorted out the digitized and the ones that we're going to kind of keep in the hard copy, then we can say, okay, you know what? I don't have enough photo albums. You might find that you had too many to begin with,
right.
and now you might be giving some away.
Okay, now I got it. I got it now.
Yeah,
So the
yeah.
more important things we end up with now is, okay, so we're dealing with our pictures. And
Mhm.
you said something last week, and I'm going to put you solo for this because I know Miss Sarah is going to be like ducking her head. When we have to now sort out those sentimental books, talk about how do we deal with those special books or those special cards, Miss J.
Yeah. Well, the thing is so the cards, if we're talking about greeting cards that people have given us over the years, or we're talking about the books that reflect our culture and our level of excellence or expertise or, our intellect. Um, I am a firm believer that the relationship that I have with those people is not in the card. The card is a reflection of that experience, but it is not the experience itself. The experience of that card and that time lies within me, it lies in my emotions. So if I can find another way to elicit the emotion, right? Maybe by looking at a photograph of that card or of those books, then it automatically brings me back. Now, books are a little bit different. And, with cards, you want to photograph the front of the card and maybe the inside of the card. books, you might look for a digitized copy of that book. So you might go to something like, any online uh, audiobook platform, and be able to access that book whenever you need it. But ultimately, it's not the book. If you need that space, if your books aren't harming your space, keep them by all means. Like, you don't have to get rid of them, right? However, if you feel
Right.
like your books are becoming an issue, like they're spilling out everywhere and you're losing control of your space, right? Then it might be time to make some decisions about what you can digitize, because again, it's really about eliciting the emotion that's connected to those items.
See, that's the hard part. These emotions, these attachments, and when Sarah had asked the question last week, and the books may be one thing, but those sentimental items that you may have gotten from
Jay,
your grandparents, those cards, not the cards, but the fabrics, the clothing, the jewelry. Sometimes we get the jewelry that we may get from our forefathers, and just those little things, those memorabilias. And I think for even parents online, when I
yes.
think about they go to school, and they bring them all these pictures from what you call it, kindergarten, and we want to keep their first drawing, and we want to keep their first clay thing that they made, and we look at it. I will admit, I think I still have the first clay pot my son made 27 years ago. Like, how do we organize those things? And Joan Pierce saying, I love my books. Joan says, I love my books and will find space for all of them. It brings back many great memories for me. So Joan is going to buy some extra bookshelves now because she's going to make sure she can get her books.
So she can keep them all. I love that. I love that. I love that.
Her books staying there. But and I'm going to come back to those because magazines come to mind. But let's deal with those those childhood memorabilia pieces of
Okay.
our children.
So when we speak about childhood memorabilia pieces, we can speak from two vantage points, right? We could be the parent who
Right.
has all of the art pieces and drawings and the macaroni arts and crafts, that our children made. And it's wonderful. Don't get me wrong. I still have some of my children, even my 22-year-olds and my 19-year-olds and my 16-year-olds drawings. I just didn't keep them all. Right.
Right.
So again, we can go back and we can photograph. And then some of those pieces, I still have the hard copies of them, right?
So that's another thing we can digitize then,
Yeah,
because
you can digitize those. When it comes to more like memorabilia, so like maybe heirloom jewelry,
yes.
costume jewelry, even, right? Like as a woman, I inherited some of my the costume jewelry in our family. And listen, don't some costume jewelry is like selling like hotcakes on
Come
eBay.
on
Okay,
now.
you
Come
get
on
$200-300 for something that you were like, what, really?
now. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
So it can be quite valuable. So now there's a couple of things that you can do with it. You can repurpose it,
Hmm.
right? So if you're crafty, if you know somebody who's a jeweler, you can
Mm,
have them kind of take it apart and craft it into something else, something that you know that you're going to use. Maybe if you do like necklaces or you like bracelets, and maybe it's a necklace or it's a bracelet and you want to maybe turn it into a brooch, you can have it redesigned. So that's something that you can do. Um, you can put it on your bookshelf, right? It doesn't have to stay inside of a box. You can use it as an ornamental design. So, for example, here on this bookshelf, I have, this little plant, and I've got this Bible. This is like my childhood Bible. I love this Bible. And then I've got a singing bowl because I do sound bath therapy as well. But here, maybe I had, I don't know, pair of glasses from my grandmother. Maybe they were her reading glasses, right?
mm,
Maybe her magnifying glass. I know a lot of our grandmothers used
yeah.
magnifying glasses, right? So I might put that here because it makes sense.
To put it in with the books.
So I
Yes.
put the magnifying glass in with the books, or I might put the glasses here, her reading glasses here. inside of on my vanity in my bathroom, or my area inside of my bedroom. I might use the old paddle brushes and like the silver comb sets and display those there,
But
right? So
here's the thing, Jaycel. When
yes.
I'm gonna have to, okay, so when I've gotten from grandma, great grandma, auntie this one, auntie that one, and or the books and stuff. Now it's a lot. So Joan is gonna buy some extra bookshelves. But what if I don't have the space for the extra bookshelves? And the other thing is like, how do you release? Like what could be a tool we can use in releasing the stuff, and we have to literally, because you said you gave away a bell hooks book the other day. I think it was bell hooks you said, or it was either my something, and I think Sarah almost fainted.
I'm gonna have people revoke my cards over here.
I can see Sarah fainting on the ground when she said, "No, she didn't." When the books, you said you were giving away some key books. I was trying to remember. I think it was. I might be outing you, but I think you said it was a Bell Hook books. If you're lucky, Sarah's not online tonight, because she would be. If Sarah, if you were there, you might remember what it is. I'm just putting you in hot water,
It
Jason.
wasn't it actually. I think it was like one bell hooks, and then there was like a whole other set of
But for
collectibles.
me,
I know.
one of the things,
Yes.
it's funny. Um, I think I can say, as a Black woman,
Yes.
when I saw a magazine, when I saw Oprah,
Uh-huh.
Essence, Ebony,
Mm.
I was like, every time I saw a magazine with
Mhm.
a Black person, I wanted it.
Yes.
And so my Sarah says, I'm right here.
I
And
remember.
and I and I'm like, how do I give this away? Because I've created some sort of an attachment to my
Yeah.
Oprah magazines.
Yes. Yes.
Help.
So start with the simple things. Don't never start with the sentimental items.
Ah,
That's the first thing.
but the sentimental items are the things that are catching us, though.
No, no, so the only reason why the sentimental items are the things that are catching us is
Right.
because we haven't practiced that release through decisiveness, right? Number one, we don't know really what our core values are in relation to our space or to these items,
Mm-hmm,
right? Why does this item matter to me?
mm-hmm.
How is it serving me right now? Is it serving me by holding space for a memory?
Okay.
Yes, great. Can I find another way, a way that maybe can be condensed to
Right.
elicit the same um, memory and still honor that experience? Because if we have all of these things, but they're kind of stored away, or they're, on a shelf collecting dust, nobody ever really gets to see them. Are we even honoring them?
Wow. Are we honoring them?
Are
That's
we
big.
honoring them? And we get so caught up in, oh, I couldn't give away Aunt Delilah's piano. My goodness, like what would the family think of me? Nobody is using the piano. Nobody is playing the piano. I bet if you were to ask cousin so and so or auntie so and so if they want the piano, they're going to be like, no, I don't have the space for it. Sorry, you keep it.
Right.
Right. But they want to keep the piano in the family, but nobody wants to have the piano take up their space.
Right.
Right. So it's a bigger conversation for sure. And one that I would, and maybe in future date, love to come back and go a little bit deeper on that. But I do want to give you guys a resource that'll help you be able to let go of items. And it really is it's not starting with the sentimental items. It's starting with the easy stuff,
Okay.
right? It's developing the habits around decluttering. Decluttering is an art. It's such
Mhm.
an art, right? It's like, I have 15 mugs, but it's just me who lives here, right? The mugs go from one side of the cabinet to the next side of the cabinet. They fill up all of the space. And every time I open up that cabinet, I feel like bombarded. This
Right.
cabinet feels so thick with items, right? What would happen? Let's explore, right? What would happen if I were to let go of 10 of those mugs and really only keep 5?
But if
That
they have those sayings on it that you like, Jaisal, if they have those fun sayings, or Joan gave me a mug, and she gave me that mug that celebrated something, some milestone, and then Sarah gave me a mug, and then you gave me a mug, and like, how am I going to release those mugs? Because,
Yeah, well, it's a gift, right? We can do what we want with that gift. Just because someone gave us something doesn't mean we have to keep it. We
ooh,
don't. We're not obliged to keep. Once it's ours, it's ours. We can do whatever we want with it.
but then I love it.
How liberating is that?
But then I love it though, Jaycel. I love the fact that when I look at this, I see,
You
I
love the item or you love the person?
I love the person, but the
Yes.
item bring back a memory of the person and what they have. It's some, maybe it could be something they have given me at a significant, a milestone moment in life.
Right. So then I would ask you in regards to your space, how much, and everyone, there's some clutter that bothers people, one person, and there's a type of clutter that doesn't bother another person.
True.
So
Okay.
then my question to you would be, what type of clutter is bothersome to you?
Ah,
And then the other question that I would ask once you've kind of come with that question, or, just to layer on top of that, how do you value space? Do you need the feeling of having a lot of space around you, or do you like to feel comforted by the items that are around you?
and
Right?
for each
Because
person, that's big. That's how do you value space?
how do
That
you
was,
value space? Yeah.
you
Yeah.
see, you give me that such food for thought. And Joan put up a comment here. She says for the containers with the jewelry, she likes using chocolate boxes. And Joan, you don't like chocolate, so I don't even understand how you have chocolate boxes for small ones, making them pretty when they're in the box all organized. But I have a special unit for all my jewelry cases.
Mhm.
Okay. And then Sarah added last year, I purchased several hundred black magazines when I realized I could get many of them online. Ah, and I hadn't looked over. Now that's the thing. See, that's a good one, Sarah. Knowing that you can, but then do you have to pay for them because you already paid for them? But do you have to just pay for them again? That's the
What are we paying for? Are we paying to take care of these items? Right? There's a payment either way, right?
wow.
We paid for the item, but then now what is the time cost investment, right? Because now we have to dust the items, we have to clean the items, we have to store the items, maybe we have to rotate the items, right?
That was big, Jason. I'm pausing on that one. We have to pay for it either way. We're either paying for it or we're paying to have it.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely, absolutely. And I mean, I'm not saying that these things don't have value. They do. They just have, right? Like some people, we spent a lot of money on our wardrobe, even,
Mhm.
right? And so now to let go of all of those clothes, right? Like, oof, I invested so much money, right? But there's also time investment. There's time equity too, right? It's not just financial equity. And so if we're spending more time organizing our clutter, then that means we have less time to do other things, maybe spend time with our family, right? Especially if we live with other people and our family is making comments, it's difficult for them to live in our clutter. It doesn't make you a bad person. It really doesn't. You know, it really, really, really doesn't. It just means that the environment is not aligned with what they need. It's not connecting on a core values level for them, right? And so then we need to make some shifts. We need to make some adjustments. We need to ask, okay, what is it that you need? Why is that important to you? And how can we facilitate that in this space?
And I like how you're so gentle with it because I think sometimes in those spaces, people can become very judgmental of the other one because what may mean, as you said, what is clutter to me is not clutter to somebody else.
Yeah.
You know, what is sentimental to me is not sentimental to someone else. And
Yes.
so asking why does that matter to you? Why do you need to have it here?
Yes.
And then how do you get to that compromise
Yeah.
that because each person thinks they're right.
Yeah. Yeah. And each person is right based on their model of the world,
Wow.
right? Each person is absolutely right. I think it's more about understanding, listening, and understanding the needs of others and why they need them. And then actively working toward creating space for those needs, right?
So then if I were to if I'm hearing you, one of the things I'm going to go back to almost the beginning now
Mhm.
is if I were to sit down, if I was living with someone, even with myself,
Mhm.
what is the vision? Going back to what's that vision for that space?
Yeah.
And what do I, when you talked about the bedroom, that place of peace, that place of calm, that when I wake up, I want to be this way. When you go into the bathroom, it's that mirroring, you seeing yourself. There's a different energy that comes from your bathroom that you want to have.
Yeah.
And so what do you feel when you want to go into bath? Do you want that spa-like Zen feeling? And what is going to create that? And
Yeah.
if you're living with someone, what do you want that vision to be
Yeah. Yeah.
together in each of the spaces that you're in? And
Yeah.
mind you, I'm gonna clean the kitchen again to differently tomorrow so I can get some money coming in the door. But the motivation factors are so interesting here, and I really do love it. And before we close the show today, you have just about a few minutes before you can ask questions. If you have a question for Jaycel, now is your time. You snooze, you lose. Okay.
Well, let me just add this while we wait for a question, because I think it's really important. So we understand what the values are. For example, Dr. Nicole needs a Zen experience inside of her bedroom to go to sleep, but her partner would much rather just throw their clothes on the floor,
Right.
right? So there's always a pile of clothes cluttered on the floor. Why? Well, because, or maybe they don't throw them on the floor. Maybe what they do is they fold them and they put them on the sofa or the bench inside of the bedroom, right? And that to you doesn't feel good because you don't like to have clutter around your feet.
Right.
But they don't want to hang these clothes back up inside of the closet because they're not clean. They've worn them once, but they're going to wear them again.
Yes.
So what can you do in that situation, right? So now we can see that there's two needs here. Both are valid. What system can we implement, right? So this is now where the organization comes into play. And we may say, okay, instead of forcing one person to, acquiesce to the other, what if we were to install some hooks, right? Maybe inside of the closet on a wall that's not being used. So the person who wants to hang up their clothes, right, but not with the clothing that's on the racks inside of the hanger, they can just kind of, yes. They can just, I'm just saying yes to everything tonight. Sure.
He's getting away with everything. Yes, Mom.
Can we have all the cookies in the world? Sure. Go right ahead.
Love it. I love it.
Okay, they're making chicken nuggets and French fries. It's him and his 16-year-old brother, so they're fine. But so we install these hooks. Now your need is met and his need is met, or her need is met, right?
And what was really key there? One of the key things there for me was systems.
Yes. Yeah.
What are the systems you can put in place?
Mm-hmm.
Even when we were talking about the pictures,
yes,
we talk about the books, we talk about the digitized. So literally, when we talk about decluttering, aka organizing one space to give you the life that you wanna, the better experience that you wanna have for yourself, is finding the systems that can give you the experience that you're seeking to find.
Absolutely.
And then for the things that you love and adore, finding sometimes the gentle homes that even if you want to give it away, you can find it a person that that I don't want to give that handmade piece that was made by my grandmother. The fabric was even the fabric was made and something that came from maybe the continent, and it was so unique and so special. You want to give it to somebody who would cherish it.
Yes.
The jewelry piece, like this is handmade, and when I look at this and the stone this was carved in, I want to give it to somebody who will recognize that this was made with love and with care. And
Yes.
so that in itself is a system.
Mm-hmm.
And as we release, we're able to create space for a new experience.
And yes, we
have.
Absolutely. And so we create space for this new experience, and we learn what it feels like to let go of something. We learn, like, part of this is letting go of things. It's saddening. It's grief, right? What is going on in me when I'm grieving with the small things first, not the big things first, but maybe 10 of the mugs as opposed to 5 of the mugs. I'm not going to die by giving away 5 of the mugs. It doesn't make me a bad person. I can find another way to honor these 10 mugs that I'm about to let go of. I know me myself, I can't drink out of these 10 mugs, but I can take a picture of me drinking out of this mug that this person gave me, and I can maybe every now and then have it as my screenshot so I remember that experience, But the beauty of this, Dr. Nicole, is that we're learning what it feels like to let go. There are going to be sensations, physiological shifts that happen within us, right? We might feel a frog in our throat, right? We might feel a fullness in our forehead. We may feel a tightening above our shoulders or a churning in our stomach as we are experiencing loss, as we're experiencing grief. But we have within us the power to calm ourselves down, to recognize that we aren't going to be harmed in doing this, that there is a bigger reason than these items for letting go. And it's connected to our core values, that this is an act, a true act of self care and self awareness. And I'm okay practicing this because it truly is a practice.
True act of love and self-care.
Yeah. And also, what we do is we also learn how to make these decisions. At first, we're slow and it's challenging. It's like learning to read or learning to do anything, right? At first, it's slow and it's pains us, it hurts, right? Especially, I remember listening to one person talk about learning math, and he was like, oh, my head was hurting and I wanted to go to sleep. And, just all of these shifts that happen to us when we're first learning a skill, but then we get better at it and we
Yes.
become quicker. So for anybody who is, I don't know, in charge of large teams, large systems, organizations, and you're living with clutter at home, you can
Right.
practice decluttering so that when you're with those teams and you're with the executives and you need to make decisions on a fly, you're more apt to make them because you know what it feels like to make those decisions quickly based on the values or even the mission.
And so keywords are the values, self-care. And I love the part about honor.
Yeah.
How are you honoring yourself?
Yeah.
Also honoring the things, because we say we love them, but we're probably dishonoring them because we hold it to value, but we're not treating it with the value that it deserves to be held, but we think that we are. That
Mm.
to me was a very bing moment for me. And Sarah is saying also the systems was good for her. Finding decluttering systems and good homes for the decluttered. Yes, that was good. And if something else struck out to you, please let us know, because this is so important. And I think, as we talk about the value, as we talk about people, as we talk about ourselves, and not being hard on ourselves and giving ourselves grace through the process. And I think this is something that is so special about you. And I say to anybody listening live and on the replay, if you're trying to figure out how to release some stuff, because I keep finding the word clutter can bring that negative connotations, and as we talked about, kind of like clutter and hoarding the balance, uh,
Yes.
can really put folks in a little bit of a eh. And Joan has jumped in and said, my way to let go is to give it to folks I care for so that they will cherish it the same way, or giving it to folks that are in need. Both give her satisfaction, and that's how she's be able to release some stuff. And to me, that's also part of the key thing, because, and I think I don't know if it's a Caribbean thing though, Jaycel, but for us it's like you want somebody to take it. If you don't take care of my stuff, it's like how they would put the plastic on the couch and nobody sits on the couch, but the couch is to be used, right? And so somewhere along the line, this makes me think, somewhere along the line, we have figured out if we hold on to stuff and it's important or it's valuable, but we don't touch it. It's like we have the crystal in the cabinet and we don't use it, the china in the cabinet and we don't use it, but we're
Mhm.
really not honoring it the way we think we should be, because we just have it collecting dust. And this honoring thing for me, that was a bing moment for me. Am I really honoring what it is? And when Sarah said she's found her magazines online, I don't know if I can release my Oprah magazines. I don't know. I don't know. We're gonna have to have a session, a personal one-on-one session with that, Jaycel, because I'm gonna need talking through releasing the Oprah magazines.
Yeah.
I read
Yeah.
it, but I don't know what it is. I can't release my Oprah magazines.
You don't have to. Again, you don't have to. You can hold on to your Oprah magazines. Maybe it's the other magazines that can go and you can just have the covers of maybe a few of them or keep a couple of them, right? I know people who have the Obama magazines and the
Oh yes,
Michelle magazines and
yes,
the Michael Jackson magazines,
yes.
and right? The MJ magazines and the Vince Carter magazines. So hold on to them, right? The Vibe magazines. Like you don't have to let them
Mhm.
go. You can hold on to them. Just find a way to display them if you are going to hold on to them. Maybe create some sort of circulation so that some of them come out. It's like children with too many toys, right?
Right.
I'm having a hard time dealing with my children and all of their toys. They have so much, but they love their toys. I don't
Yeah.
want to let them go. Put some of them away and bring some of them out. throughout the
Actually using it and looking at it. I
cycle for them. Yeah, yeah. But I just want to point out something because I think it's really important to say this just before we go, is that it's not really our responsibility to find a good home for our items.
mm,
It really isn't. Oftentimes people will hold on to items for a really long time and they'll put the plastic or they'll keep it inside of the china cabinet. And maybe they do. They go in and they dust it down because they think one day their children are going to have it. I promise you, as much as fashion changes, styles change, no one is getting married and collecting, china sets anymore. I love my teacup sets, right?
yeah.
Like I love my fine china. I really do. But I don't even have tea with people as often as I would like. I have this dream of having tea with a large grouping of women and, just all of it. However, when that day comes, I know for me, I'm likely going to let go of most of those cups. They'll likely go to the women who are at that event, and I'll keep one or two or three for myself as a reminder of achieving that goal. But I don't need to keep all of the cups because we had the event, right? And so if we have the sofa and we cover it up, we think that when we pass on, right, that we're going to pass it on to our children, and chances are they're not going to want it. We in professional organizing, we call that shifting the burden.
Ooh.
Yeah, so we have these items and we think that it's going to be our sister, so and so is going to like it, and so might not have the capacity to say no. So they'll take it because they love you, and then it will sit as clutter inside of their home.
Wow. That's
So we
very
really want to be very careful that we're not shifting the burden, that we are really being considerate, having the conversation before we give these items away. And if we are nearing end of life, we might want to have a conversation with our family and say, you know what, here are some of the things that really matter to me. Here are some of the organizations I want it to go to. I'm going to put some stickers on these items just so that you know when I'm not here what to do with everything.
I really like that. I really like that. And
Yeah.
so Joan and Sarah, she's told us we don't have to give away our Obama and Oprah magazines. I'm not releasing my Oprah magazine or my Obama ones. Sarah, I'm not releasing my Oprah. The beauty of it is make sure that you honor it and you use it and bring it out and you look at it and you treasure it and treat it. So I really love that. So Jaycel, I have your website up here. And you have the if before we go, if you could just tell people is it the Dear Clutter program?
It's the Declutter Show. Yes,
So,
yes, yes. And that is on Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday at 4 p.m. Eastern Standard Time.
right.
But if you go to my Instagram page, I can give you the handle here. Just I can spell it out or read it out for us, say it out loud for you. It's lovecleaning.gta, like Greater Toronto Area, because I was vibing Toronto when I.
Okay, we got that there. And Jaycel's website is lovecleaning.gta. And listen, folks, I am so glad you joined us here tonight on the Victory Speak Show. It has been such a joy having you here with us on the show tonight. Be sure to follow Jaycel on her Instagram, on her Twitter. Go to the website, learn about how you can find out more. I know you do a thing I know this program has already started because you do it on Saturdays. Is it Saturdays?
The live declutter. It's on.
Yeah, the live.
Yes, on Thursdays, and we're opening up. We're actually having an open session on
Okay.
April 28th. So anyone who's interested and wants to come and join us and see what it's like to be in the live declutter community, you don't have to turn your camera on, but just come and join us, sit with us. It's a lot of fun.
Okay, so we'll post that up here. Be sure to share this. Remember, sharing is caring. Don't judge anybody because of what they have and what they see. Be gentle, be kind to yourself. The first show is on Victory Speak 7, so be sure to go to the YouTube channel and follow it. We love having you here tonight. Remember, sharing is caring. Love is in the details. Take care of yourself. Give someone a smile today. Show them that they matter. And it's springtime. It's a time to reset. It's a time to grow. It's a time to envision what you want your personal space to look like, your bedroom, your bathroom, your living room. Even if you just did one space, you don't
Okay.
have to do it all at one time. Jason was so good in making sure. Just pause in it. Create the time. Be intentional. After you set the vision, be intentional about carving out the time. And as you cultivate the vision, that's how you're going to cultivate the vision for the reorganization of your spaces. And then you will have that the place where it will transform. Order will come into play,
It does.
order and restoration. But I recognize one of the things in order for this, for us to do this, Jacel, we have to yield to the process. We have to be humble.
Yes.
And, victory is your portion. This is a part of revolutionizing your mindset. And so thank you for tuning in to the Victory Speak show today. Be sure to tune in next week and see you then.